In the autumn of 1571, as Russia stood at the crossroads of uncertainty, a young woman barely 19 was selected to become the bride of one of history's most feared rulers. Ivan IV, remembered by the world as Ivan the Terrible. Her name was Martha Sobakina, the daughter of a wealthy merchant from Novgorod, and her beauty, poise, and rumored good health had carried her through one of the most rigorous bride selection processes in imperial Russian history. More than 2,000 noble and merchant-born maidens had been summoned from across the vast lands of Muscovy, each evaluated not only for charm and physical vitality, but for their astrological compatibility with the Tsar. From these, a mere handful remained, and it was Martha who was chosen to stand at Ivan's side. To many in the court, her selection was not just a romantic or ceremonial moment, it was a strategic act. Ivan's second wife had died just 2 years prior under uncertain circumstances, and without a strong male heir, the future of the dynasty appeared fragile. The Tsar, then in his early 40s, was desperate to secure his lineage, and the stakes of this marriage were nothing short of imperial. But behind the promise of new beginnings, unseen forces were already stirring. Whispers soon emerged from among palace attendants that the young bride, seemingly radiant just days earlier, had begun to suffer unexplained symptoms. Her complexion faded, her energy waned, and she was said to faint more than once during public appearances. No physician at the time could offer a clear diagnosis. Treatments ranged from herbal tonics and ritual prayers to rest, but nothing reversed the decline. Among the many stories preserved in chronicles and later reinterpreted by historians, one account stands out, one not of malice but of misguided care. It tells of a mother's desperate love. Fearing that her daughter might fail to conceive and risk falling from the Tsar's favor, Martha's mother reportedly gave her a home-prepared remedy intended to promote fertility and strengthen the body. The mixture, like many folk treatments of the time, may have contained mercury, then believed to have beneficial properties for reproductive health. To modern eyes, such a remedy seems alarming, even reckless. But in the 16th century, mercury was part of mainstream medicinal practice, considered advanced by contemporary standards. Doctors used it to treat various ailments, including skin conditions and so-called imbalances of the body. The danger, however, lay in the dosage and in how little they truly understood about its long-term effects. By the time the wedding took place on October 28, 1571, Martha's health had visibly deteriorated. The ceremony, held at the Trinity Church within the fortified compound of Alexandrova Sloboda, should have symbolized a triumph for the crown. Instead, it marked the beginning of a mystery that would haunt the court for generations. Observers at the event noted that Martha appeared pale and fragile. She reportedly fainted during the vows, and although priests dismissed it as nervous modesty, the court physicians were less convinced. After the brief celebrations, she was taken to the bridal chambers, where the royal physicians and attendants remained on constant watch. Despite their efforts, her condition grew worse with each passing day. 15 days after the wedding, Martha Sobakina died still a teenager, and having barely fulfilled her ceremonial role as Tsarita. The official cause of death was never conclusively recorded, but Ivan was convinced that she'd been poisoned. Whether it was a political act of sabotage or the result of a misunderstood folk remedy mattered little to a ruler already deeply suspicious of those around him. Ivan's grief turned quickly to anger, and from that moment the court began to feel the weight of his retribution. A wave of interrogations and arrests swept through Martha's household and beyond. Servants, physicians, and even distant relatives were summoned, questioned, and, in some cases, punished severely. Some historical accounts mention public executions, including the alleged impalement of a nobleman in Red Square. Others suggest that these stories may have been embellished over time, shaped more by fear of Ivan's wrath than by verified events. Still, the atmosphere of terror they describe is consistent with the pattern of the Tsar's reign. Martha's father was spared execution but was forced into monastic exile. Others were not as fortunate. Her brothers reportedly met harsher fates, accused of involvement in witchcraft or forbidden practices. The court that had once celebrated a union meant to secure the empire's future now lived in the shadow of loss, paranoia, and vengeance. Even subsequent policies grew even more draconian. The infamous Oprichnina regime of state terror intensified. Whole families were uprooted, cities punished, and nobles purged, as the Tsar increasingly saw betrayal in every corner. Historians now view the aftermath of Martha's death as a critical point in Ivan's psychological decline, a personal tragedy that deepened his descent into authoritarianism and fear. Centuries later, efforts to uncover the truth behind this episode continued. In 2009, forensic scientists tested remains believed to be those of Martha Sobakina. Traces of mercury were found in the bones, evidence that supported, though did not definitively prove, the theory of accidental poisoning. A facial reconstruction from the same study revealed a young woman of remarkable delicacy and poise. Her soft features belied the grim fate that awaited her. Her story has inspired artists and playwrights across Russia and beyond. Most famously, Rimsky-Korsakov's opera The Tsar's Bride brought the legend to the stage, transforming Martha into a symbol of innocence crushed by the forces of politics and superstition. Yet beneath the opera and myth lies a deeper historical question: how many royal deaths, especially among women, were quietly attributed to illness, when in fact they may have been the result of outdated medicine, misunderstood treatments, or whispered rivalries? Martha Sobakina's story is not an isolated one. It serves as a poignant reminder that behind palace doors, life and death could hinge on a single decision, a folk remedy, a court rumor, a misinterpreted symptom. And that in the grand halls of empire, even the smallest acts of love or fear could alter the fate of a nation.